5-year-old councilman Marcos Baquero was kidnapped in June of 2009. He's the 15th hostage FARC has released since early 2008. Fewer than 20 so-called political hostages remain in FARC custody. The Colombian president, Juan Manuel Santos, though, says he will not start talks with FARC until all the captives are freed. The US State Department said on Wednesday that it would be, quote, an unfortunate distraction, end quote, if the former democratically elected Haitian President Jean-Bertrand Aristide returned to the country before next month's presidential runoff. On Tuesday, Aristide's lawyer collected a passport for the hugely popular former leader who's currently living in exile in South Africa. It's not yet clear if Aristide will indeed return to Haiti. Another former Haitian leader missed a court appearance on Wednesday, instead paying a visit to his doctor. Jean-Claude Duvalier's lawyer said the former president was complaining of neck pain. Duvalier was due to answer accusations of corruption, embezzlement, and the misappropriation of funds during his presidential term. A man in the US state of Maryland has decided to embrace winter. Ed Bolak has built his own ice cliff in his front yard, as you do. The structure is taller than his house, and he and his son go ice climbing on it. The two hope to keep the wall around until March, or at least until the freezing weather lets up. And with that, it's back to Veronica in Doha.
All right, looking forward to seeing your ice cliff in your garden, Shihab. All right, moving on to other news. In Egypt's uprising is having a knock-on effect in Gaza. Most people there use cheap petrol smuggled in via tunnels from their Egyptian neighbours. But the unrest has meant that the trade's almost ground to a halt. Nicole Johnston reports from Rafah.
Arriving at petrol stations with empty soft drink bottles and containers and leaving with litres of fuel. The instability in Egypt has heightened Gaza's own sense of insecurity, and people have started hoarding cheap petrol and diesel that's smuggled in from Egypt.
We don't have our own products. We don't have fuel. We are under occupation. We are besieged from everywhere. So, thanks to Egypt, we can at least smuggle in fuel from the tunnels.
Almost everyone in Gaza buys Egyptian fuel, because it's a third of the price of Israeli fuel. But in the early days of Egypt's crisis, the petrol smuggling trade ground to a halt and fuel stations closed.
First of all, what happened in Egypt affect Gaza direct. The first 3 or 4 days, the transportation from Cairo or Alexandria or Suez to El Arish and to Rafah was impossible because of security reasons.
Petrol smugglers say they are now back in business, and they hope Egypt's problems won't disrupt the cross-border trade.
The 3 fuel supply tunnels in Rafah stopped for almost a week since the instability in Egypt started. We have only 1 tunnel. Our supply has now started again. We smuggle between 80 and 100,000 litres per day.
The smuggled fuel ends up in one of these containers very close to the border. We're only about 100 metres from Egypt. Now you can see from here it's piped into tankers, and these tankers transport the fuel all over Gaza.
Despite this, people in Gaza are still worrying about the situation in Egypt and their dependence on its fuel.
Our people in Gaza have the mentality of the crisis all the time. They're fearing from any crisis. They think if the matters in Egypt going more hot, maybe the border will be closed.
Trade and tunnels connect Gaza to Egypt. And while the fuel may be flowing now, people are not taking the risk of it running out. Nicole Johnston, Al Jazeera, Gaza.
Still ahead this hour, Louise will have the sport, including La Liga's top goal scorers take their rivalry to an international level. Stay with us for the details. again. Let's take the time now for all the sport.
Thanks very much. We start with international football, and all eyes were on the clash of the Spanish Titans on Wednesday night as Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo locked horns for the first time at international level. Real Madrid's Ronaldo and Messi at Barcelona are tied for the most league goals scored so far this season with 24 each, and they met as Argentina took on Portugal in a friendly. The Argentinians went into the lead. It was Messi who did the main legwork, but it was Angel Di Maria who was the scorer after 15 minutes. But it didn't take long for one of them to find the net. It was Ronaldo with an equaliser for Portugal. And 1-1 was how it stayed right till the 90th minute when Argentina were awarded a penalty for this foul on Juan Manuel Martinez in the box. And guess who stepped up to take it? Yes, Messi. He wasn't going to miss, was he? It ended 1-1 Messi-Ronaldo, but 2-1 to Argentina. The world and European champions Spain left it very late against Colombia. The Spanish managed to put recent defeats to Argentina and Portugal behind them, but only in the last few minutes of the game. And David Silva scoring to save their blushes. A final score, 1-0. The 2018 World Cup hosts Russia was stunned 1-0 by Iran. The Iranian side broke the deadlock through Mohammad Reza Kalbari, who scored in the final minutes, but the ref got a bit shirty with his celebration and gave him a red card for taking off his top. Elsewhere on Wednesday, Serbia beat Israel 2-0. No goals between Turkey and Asian Cup semi-finalist Korea. Nigeria and the last World Cup host South Africa were winners in their respective games. Ukraine beat Sweden on penalties in their friendly tournament in Cyprus. England beat Denmark 2-1, while Poland beat Norway. And the World Cup finalists, the Netherlands thumped Austria 3-1. And then in the meetings of the former World Cup winners, it ended 1-1 between Italy and Germany, with Miroslav Klose and Giuseppe Rossi getting on the score sheet there. And Karim Benzema was on target for the French, as they seem to be putting their World Cup woes behind them, to beat Brazil 1-0. Rud Hulits arrived in Chechnya to take over as the new coach of the Russian Premier League side Terek Grozny. The two-time World Footballer of the Year was greeted by fans at the airport. Now, the outfit from the Caucasus region only returned to Grozny in 2008 after 2 wars forced them away for 15 years. Now they're hoping Hulits, who is captain of the Netherlands and coached the likes of AC Milan and Chelsea, will guide them to international success. Now, the former owners of Liverpool Football Club are attempting to claim $1.6 billion in damages after being forced to sell the Premier League club. Tom Hicks and George Gillette are pursuing the huge sum for what they called a giant swindle. A High Court judge is set to decide on whether they can sue the Royal Bank of Scotland and 3 former directors who approved the sale in October against the Americans' will. The case in London comes as Liverpool's fortunes on the field have been revived. They're up to 6th in the table. Tiger Woods is set to play alongside the world's top 2 players, Lee Westwood and Martin Kaymer, in the first 2 rounds of the Dubai Desert Classic. The 14-time major winners hoping to win a 3rd title in Dubai. Well, Woods spent the eve of the tournament taking part in the traditional Pro-Am, where he was partnered with a US serviceman based in Afghanistan, who beat 16,000 golfers in a draw to play alongside the world number 3. Well, Woods has gone 14 months without a victory and knows he must start winning consistently again before he can think of returning to the top of the rankings.
If I'm in the event, it's to win. That's just plain and simple. I don't always win. I've certainly lost a lot more tournaments than I've won, but you know, it's the goal every week we tee it up, and that doesn't change.
Well, 21-year-old Rory McIlroy is looking for a repeat of his victory in 2009. The Northern Irishman won his first European Tour title in Dubai 2 seasons ago. This time he's had a relaxed build-up to the tournament and is hoping to slide back into the swing of things.
You know, I can remember coming out here when I was 16 and playing in the tournament. I was lucky enough to get an invite, and things have really come on since there. So yeah, I sort of do treat this as a home event because I have played it more times than any other tournament on tour. You know, it's a very impressive field. The top 3 players in the world are here, and you know, if you can win this week, you know that your game's, you know, definitely on the right track, and you're in great shape going into the season.
The Sri Lankan bowling legend Matthias Muralitharan says his side's happy to be labelled one of the underdogs for the upcoming Cricket World Cup. Murali is aiming to bow out from international crickets after the tournament, which starts later this month. The 38-year-old's the leading wicket-taker in both Test and one-day cricket, and he's one of a number of veterans in the Sri Lankan squad. Sri Lanka, winners in 1996, are drawn in Group A alongside Australia, New Zealand, Pakistan, Zimbabwe, Canada and Kenya.
We like to be at, rather than the favourites, underdogs, then we try to do well in the play. I think we got a very good captain, and Mile is a past captain and is a very good knowledge in cricket. So we got a lot of experience and a lot of young players. So with the mix, definitely we have a good chance to go into this. I think this the best team can go. So hopefully we'll do well.
Heinrich Hausler's become the new leader of the Tour of Qatar after winning Wednesday's third stage. The German-born Australian battled through strong winds and sprinted to the line to win his second stage of this year's race. Tom Boonen, who had a 1 second advantage in the overall standings at the start of the day, got a puncture 40 kilometres from the finish and wasn't able to rejoin the lead group. He's now down in 14th. Hausler, who takes the leader's golden jersey, has a 4 second advantage over his compatriot Mark Renshaw. And that's all the sport for now.
And a quick reminder that you can always check out our website for your news updates. We also have extensive in-depth coverage of events in Egypt, including a live blog and timelines. There it is. You can also watch live our newscasts anytime. A full bulletin is just moments away. Stay with us here on Al Jazeera.